So I was pregnant with my eldest. Her father became a dealer.
I got a phone call from my daughter who was 10, who was screaming because my partner at the time was chasing her around the house and she'd locked herself in the bedroom.
No, right, about 4 months in, I think. I didn't think it was wrong, but I think my brain was setting off the alarm bells in my brain saying this isn't right.
I do my best not to expose it to my children.
So I don't know how I felt pregnant with him.
Everything I was telling him was what I'd done before. Anyway, he was When I felt pregnant, I went to the doctors and I left him at home with my son. And I got a phone call when I was at the doctor's getting my blood test to see how far along I was. And he said, your son's just broken his leg, he's fallen out of bed. And I was like, that's strange, because I put him to sleep in our bed, which didn't even have a frame, it was just a mattress on the floor. We went to the hospital and all the bruises started to appear. So he was black, the whole face black, his ears were purple, and he had a massive black bruise on his thigh. And on his genital area, it was all black. And then he was in a half body cast from here to both his legs for 6 weeks. Child safety come in and interview me because of it. They asked me to go get a coffee, and I went and got a coffee. And I came back and they said, oh, we just went halfway through the interview with my ex-partner, his name was Matt. Everything's fine, we're gonna go. I just wish they followed me into getting my coffee so I could tell them what was happening, but they never did. Day 4, we're in the hospital, and I said to him, why did you do it? That was probably the first time I confronted him with it. And he said, you're next. And I was just so thankful that the person next to me heard everything, because she was the one that alerted the nurses, and he got escorted out by security. But nothing ever happened from there.
So Bronwyn was pretty much on her own in Townsville. She didn't have immediate family there, so we really didn't know what was going on. I felt really sad. I felt sad that she'd ended up in a situation like that, and that we lived so far away and couldn't really be there to help her.
So I was pregnant with my eldest, and her father became a dealer. So it was my first pregnancy was very stressful for me. It started to get bad after she was born, and I was left alone a lot with her. And then that's when the violence started.
The family dynamics, I didn't really realize that we are a very matriarch family. We moved from Sydney to here. We moved in with his sister, so it was a 1-bedroom that we were staying in and sharing, and I wasn't used to that, so we had a bit of an argument, and he was very angry with me, and he lifted his fist up, and my kids were in the room with us, and that was to me, oh, no-go zone there. And I literally said to my husband, free shot, give it left or right, throw your best punch you got, because you're out of here, you know the word. You're out of my life. I closed that chapter. And he kept his hand up and left, and didn't hit me, but just pushed me on the bed and walked out. But 5 years later after that, my husband asked me, why did you do that? Why did you tell me that? I said, my daughters are watching. I wasn't gonna let them allow that they could sit in a relationship and allow anyone to mistreat.
Yeah, we witnessed domestic violence with mom and dad. Dad used to come home drunk and then they started with an argument, then sometimes we get physical. When we get physical, we all used to be on the bed or under the bed or, somewhere safe. And knowing that domestic violence is not right and stuff like that, hey, I do my best not to expose it to my children. Hey, even when me and my partner, we argue, we don't get physical or we don't raise our voice. And this was one of our reasons for moving down from Bamaga to the city, to break the cycle.
I got a phone call from my daughter who was 10, who was screaming because my partner at the time was chasing her around the house and she'd locked herself in the bedroom. I got home and he choked me, punched me in my jaw. At that point, it was like, yeah, this is not right. We called the police, everything was fine. He got taken away, and then, as you do, I went back the next day. And it was a couple of weeks later, he then asked me to marry him, and I said yes, because when you're in that situation, sometimes you don't see it as a bad situation, you just, this is how life is. And it wasn't until about 2 months later, when I did get sober, that I realised it was not right, and I got help from AA and got on with my life, and I got domestic violence order, and yeah, and I have never looked back.
I'm Geraldine Zacchio. I'm the owner of Heart Connection, and I also run a business called Alchemy of Men. So I'm a kinesiologist, and I specialise in working with childhood trauma, anxiety, depression, and I present retreats for healing. Well, I guess when you're working with the subconscious as opposed to the conscious mind, so the conscious mind is pretty much talk therapy. So when we talk about something, we're using a part of the brain that is really only 10% of how we think and feel, and it's short-term memory. So when we're working with the subconscious is 80% of how we think and feel. It manages how we breathe, our body temperature, and it also has all our reactions and emotions on how we respond to things. So when we're working with the subconscious and the body somatically, we can make permanent change. So a lot of the trauma and the reactions that we have are basically triggered from our childhood experience. As a child, I experienced domestic violence. My dad was violent towards my mum, and we left in the middle of the night and went into emergency homes. Went into a caravan to start with, and then went into emergency home in Adelaide. At the time, I didn't really understand it, but my memories are quite traumatic about those moments, and I suffered a lot from childhood trauma until I was about 35, and then I started to study kinesiology. When I started to study kinesiology, I started to find a pathway forward, and over the last 18 years have been working with clients one-on-one and in group settings, basically developed a program that works. So I work in small groups, so anywhere between 12 and 15 women or men, and before they come to the retreat, they fill out, a form, but I also speak to them direct to find out exactly what are the key points that they're dealing with. There's a whole range of emotional triggers that could be there, or even things that they're experiencing right now, like they might be having breakdowns in relationships, they might be struggling with their kids, those types of things. Once I've got an understanding of what that is, then I tailor the content to them. And it's very organic, so my content that I work with has got a basic structure of some tools that we want you to learn and grow with. So we start with the tools, and that brings things up for people, not in a way that you might imagine. So we're not re-traumatizing, but we're acknowledging that there is trauma there. So we're acknowledging there's pain in the body. And once we learn what it is, everything is energy. We'll go into a bit more about that later, but everything is energy. So really emotion and trauma is just energy that wants to leave the body. A lot of my work is based on not ignoring the negative, but often what happens is to be happy, we think we need to get rid of the negative, ignore it, make it go away. Take a pill, make it go away. But we don't understand that our emotions are valid, and they're there for a reason. So grief is valid, anger is valid, it's there for a reason. So it's not about ignoring it, it's just about giving it a new pathway with a new tool to be able to move through that. And once we do that, then we can then be happy, because the wave of energy is the polarity. So once we start to give the negative a voice, it's not that we're never going to have anxiety, it's not that we're never going to get depressed or sad or angry, it's what we do in the moment. So if we can change how we feel and have a choice to change that anger in 5 minutes and then have a great day for the rest of the day, that is pretty much the healing. It's not about getting to a point where I'm never going to be angry again. We are going to be angry, we're human beings. But what we do need to learn is how to work with our emotions differently and not fear them.
I was in a domestic violent relationship for over 10 years. I had 3 kids, and when we left, they were 5 years and under. There was many times that I did try to leave, but due to being forced to stay with physical, because there was a lot of physical, emotional, sexual, violent, verbal, everything you name, it was all that type of domestic violence that I was experiencing. Multiple times I tried to leave, but there was physical attacks. And then the last time I left was with police escort, that I was able to leave, and with the 3 kids. There is way too much domestic violence going on with online services that are just heavily hit. I feel like this app is going to help stop that silence and create more fast and efficient help for women that are in dire need for immediate response, information, knowledge, support. There's going to be like that empathy support from the app and what to do in crisis situations. It's also going to help send out alerts to women that you not nominate, or family members, or even co-workers that you would like to nominate to help support and help those in need, because they do take over a lot of the brunt from the domestic violence victims, because they are typically the #1 supporters for people who are experiencing domestic violence, and they need support as well, information on what to do, who to go to, how to support that person, and even themselves. My experience when I left, I didn't have anything of this available. It's going to give like an empathetic, like an AI chatbot that you can speak to if you don't know what to do in that situation, you're scared. You're able to get immediate response that is sensitive and understanding and give you the right information, because a lot of those times your brain's not working. You're stuck in fight or flight survival mode, and you don't know what to do, where to go, and you're scared. And it is something that you can have in your hands, and it can give you immediate response and help and guide you on where to go safely, and also not like message others that you've nominated. So when you nominate someone, they can understand what they should do when someone reaches out and they don't know what to do, because a lot of the time they don't want nothing done, they're scared of repercussions. But someone else outside of their field can help them in that situation. I experienced a lot of people telling me like there's so much information that people don't seem to understand or comprehend, that these women really do need help. And a lot of these times these women have children, so they're not thinking about themselves, they're thinking about the children and putting them first before themselves.
My name's Jared. I'm the CEO and founder of RYL AI. I'm a North Queensland local. I grew up everywhere from here through the Tablelands and up towards Bamaga. So the chatbot we're working on for this particular project is particularly powerful because we don't use a large frontier model to power it. We use a series of smaller models, which means that we can deploy it into regional Australia with lower computing resources required, which makes it greener and more effective for the applications we're trying to do. It also makes it very domain specific, so we can ensure that we're giving highly accurate advice and recommendations to the end user. How we'll do it is we will break it down into a series of smaller models which are specifically trained on each aspect. So we'll have cultural sensitivity built into one particular model, we'll have domestic violence sort of storytelling into another, and then we'll have sort of the compliance and the government piece into other parts. And then as the specific user interacts with it, it'll only draw down on the areas required. You know, we're not here to draw judgments ourselves and make judgments, but we will be able to store data in a database, and we will be able to collect evidence and store it for future use. So we definitely will be gathering all sorts of information based on events that are occurring with users of the app, and then from there we'll be able to sort of create reports and distill information as we need to the relevant bodies. So we will be able to offer functions like sending out help requests to either the wider community of women or to immediate contacts that the woman chooses within the app in case of emergency or in case of need of support. And to support that educational piece will again be that chatbot, which is trained on a whole different series of models from traditional medicine to alternative medicines, policies and procedures, whether it's self-defense or whether it's self-help, whatever they need, there'll be some information there for them to access. We have a long history of working within regional Australia. We sort of consider ourselves the regional Australian AI experts. So if you need some AI deployed in the regions where the people to see. What's really cool about the app we're developing is it's not just built for now, but it's built for the future. So, when we move forward with this app, we'll be able to integrate all sorts of things from external sources like IoT cameras we can do things like detect violence in a home and send out an automated distress signal and things like that. So it's not just an app that's built for empowering women that are currently suffering, but we've enabling technology across a whole breadth of domains to help. As a neurodivergent kid who grew up in regional Australia, I know how hard it can be, and it's so I'm really trying to work on ways and that I can use my skills as a sort of AI specialist to help those kids. And we've got a few projects in the works at the moment, AI-powered apps and support for primary healthcare workers in the future. But yeah, I hope that, if you're a neurodivergent kid out there now who's really struggling, we're all different, we all think differently, and just, embrace that side of yourself and you'll find your people and you'll find your tribe.
So now we have mandatory reporting, which is fantastic because it cuts out that I don't know if I saw what I saw or heard what I heard. If you see something or hear something, you straight away report it. So there's no ifs or buts about it, you just report it. Even if it's nothing, you still report it. More awareness, I think. I think even for myself, who doesn't reach out to people, like I'm such a big believer and I can do it myself, I think I need to stop that and I need to reach out to people for help. And I think knowing that help is all around you, it's everywhere. And I think, people just need to stop and think there is so much.
I would just research or Google narcissistic behavior or, ask Google or that AI, the chatbot thingy. Also suggest have a bag packed, ready to go. Because when you do have to get up and go, you're just going with whatever you're wearing.
Lay it down, 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 lay it down, down, down. Bring your heavy load. Lay it down, down, down. Lay it down, down, down. Lay it down, down, down. If you're broken hearted, lay it down, down, down. May His breath in your wings keep you flying. May the love in His heart make you strong. May He dry every
I am safe, I take back my power. What I would say to my younger self is don't let anyone dull your sparkle.
I am
yes, yes, and yes.